are broken. I can't stop smiling.
So I understand that there's a lot of Perry fans out there. So I figured today we could do a how to draw Perry tutorial. So Perry, how he got his name, is short for periscope because that's what he looks like. So again, he's pretty simple form, but there's some stuff about him that's important. One, he's L-shaped. So he has a little bit, don't forget, because sometimes you don't want the shape to get mushy where he ends up kind of looking like a nub with a with a with like a little, face window there. So what we want to do here is we want to make sure he has definitely a very specific L shape to his body. And again, like I always talk about, draw through. So we would have this piece of his head would connect to this piece of pipe that's his body. And we could have this piece down here that would be the bottom circle. So follow, of course, the natural arc of your hand. Because when we're drawing ellipses, we want to keep them round. You don't ever want to get it to the point where they're kind of pinched off at the top and they have corners. You don't want it to look like a fish, You want it to look like a round, rounded end ellipses. Then we're going to have the two edges of the pipe form here. This other round piece here. That's where his face will go. And that might be a little too thick. Let me bring it down a little bit. Also remember that with Perry's face, it's set back a little bit. So we're going to see the inside of this. Basically just the inside of this. And then we'll see his face. Now, I turned him in a pretty extreme 3/4, so we'll do our best here. If you know the character, you kind of know what we're looking at. I like drawing things in 3/4. It's the most interesting way to do stuff. And if you watched the pilot that we did, you probably saw an early version of Perry. And when Josh and Jen and I were figuring out the show, I just had sketchbooks full of robots and characters and weird monsters. So we kind of just looked at all the sketches I had. And sometimes Josh and Jen would see something cool that they liked and they'd pick it out. They'd have an idea for a character. And so then I would just take this really rough sketch and I would develop it more. So Perry came from that, where he was just a very loose sketch in my sketchbook. So now we got to make sure we do rivets. Remember rivets? The thing about rivets are we're looking at the top of what would, if we were to look at a rivet from the side view, it looks like, almost like a bolt with a round head. So what we're seeing is just the top. So make sure that they have a little bit of dimension. So we'll just draw the circles in there for now. Now, also, he has this little antenna popping up out of the back. And I think there's probably something like, if we were looking at it from the top, there'd probably be some kind of a mounting bracket. Then here's his body. Now his arms. Yeah, his arms are just little nubby arms. they kind of go, they taper off quickly. Again, we could draw through where it joins to its body. Same thing with what it will be on the other side. Let's draw through like where that shoulder joint's going to be. I can't remember if his arms, I think they go all the way down. It's been a while. Okay, same thing here. Let's draw these all the way down. Bulk that up a little bit. Again, realize that we're going to draw through on his wrists. So I think he has two little claws. So we'll have these little wrist cuffs. And then with his claws, just remember to draw through on that because that's an oval. And then we're just going to split it down the middle like that. And he has very stubby legs. So first, when we're ending his body, let's make sure and give it a nice, whatever we would call that. Let's call it a grommet. Why not? And then we're going to have these little segments of his body / pipe. All right, and then his legs, really stumpy. I just remember them always being very stumpy. So again, let's draw just where his feet are going to go. Just draw ovals like that. We'll join them up here. See, the thing is, in a lot of my drawings, the legs would be so stumpy on all my characters because I think it's a good look. It's cool. But for the purpose of animation, we had to extend them just so that they could rig them so they could bend, so you could walk. So my mandate was always let's extend them to the most minimal amount we can to get them to work so they're still extraordinarily stumpy. Because I think it's the proportions that gives, like Perry's a little put upon, you know, he has a rough life. So I think the idea that he's not tall and sinewy and mobile kind of helps that aspect of his character. All right, now let's do a little erasing because we got the basic forms. So we can erase a lot of this line work. And then I think people have asked me what kind of pencil I use. It is a Mars Stetler 3B. Although any pencil brand works, if you're into art and you want to get a 3B pencil, definitely, they're soft. They're right in the middle range. They're not too hard. They're a soft lead, but you can still sharpen the pencil and get some nice detail out of it. It's kind of right on the edge of being too soft. Do the same here. Remember that if you watched the robot one, you did that trick where you make the lines thick at the top and the bottom of a curve like this. It helps give it a little bit of dimension because then that area looks like it's catching light. Again, line weight. I was going to say wine weight, but that makes no sense. Line weight. So let's make these lines kind of thinner at the top here. Wait, sharpen this. I want a sharper pencil. All right, line weight. This can be a little more thin up top here, thicker at the bottom. Same here with his arm. Thicken that line weight at the bottom. right now. The other thing is a lot of these robots, they have arm segments. So again, what we were talking about with drawing through is you can draw the ellipses. So in other words, if his segments were just seeing this little line, it helps to get the drawing to look right if you draw the ellipse all the way through. Same thing here. Now, of course, we're not going to draw the entire ellipses. We're just going to do the front half. And you can use that trick where make the line thick on both ends, but thin in the middle. Give it a little bit of a shine. Also, you can just hit it with an eraser too. Just do the line and hit it with an eraser. And you see the way the other thing is we give the arm dimension by making these ellipses so they follow the curve. See, they're not just, you don't just draw this shape and then just go, that's not, it's flat. Same thing here on his legs, maybe thicker on those ends. And the face. Little tiny eyes. Now, a little bit more racing here. My face gears are stuck. I can't stop smiling. Of course, we will not forget his number 2. I believe he has rings around his shoulders. All right, so here's the basic Perry. Now, we're going to light him a little bit. Say the light's coming from this direction. So we could definitely like have a little bit of a shadow here. Definitely have the arm shadow here. Here. We'll have a little bit around his back. Same for his arm here. And then this, you would do the same thing. You'd probably have his legs shadowed. This one might fall entirely in shadow. Because if this one was going to start here, then this one's going to be here. And then, of course, you draw one on the ground. But basically, this is Perry. Hopefully, there were some helpful things in here. Oh, the number 2, right? He's number two. Who is number one? Maybe it's his brother. Maybe we'll never know. Whatever it is, there's probably another one of them out there. Here we go. That's Perry. Maybe next time we'll do Ogo. I know a lot of people have been asking about Ogo. He's a popular guy, fun to draw. All right, hopefully you got some tips out of this. Now you can draw Perry.